Why am I here? Officer Yoon Sang-woo stood in the back of the small chapel, confused and uncomfortable in his dress uniform. The funeral program in his hand read, Dorothy Williams, 1955 to 2026. Beloved mother, friend, and inspiration. Dorothy, the homeless woman he'd shared lunch with for 6 months, dead at 71. He'd only learned about her death yesterday when a lawyer called his precinct. Officer Yoon, this is Attorney James Park. I'm handling Dorothy Williams' estate. She left specific instructions that you attend her funeral. Can you be at Grace Memorial Chapel tomorrow at 2 p.m.? Estate? There must be some mistake. Dorothy was homeless. Just come, Officer Yoon. Everything will be explained. Now Sang-woo sat watching maybe 20 people scattered in pews. An elderly woman dabbed her eyes. A middle-aged couple held hands. No one he recognized. The service was simple, beautiful. The pastor spoke about Dorothy's unconventional choices and testing the hearts of strangers. Sang-woo had no idea what that meant. After the burial, the same lawyer approached. Officer Yoon, if you could stay for the will reading, it concerns you. Me? I barely knew her. We ate lunch together sometimes. Yes, she was very clear about that. Attorney Park handed him a tissue-thin envelope. She wanted you to read this first. Then we'll discuss the rest. Sang-woo's hands shook as he opened it. Dorothy's handwriting, shaky but deliberate. Dear Sang-woo, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And you're about to learn the truth. I'm sorry I lied. But I needed to know if kindness still existed. You proved it does. Thank you for seeing me, Dorothy. What truth? 6 months before Dorothy's death, Sang-woo had been walking his regular patrol route in Itaewon when he first saw her. An elderly black woman sitting on a stone wall near the park, wearing worn clothes that had seen better days, a small bag beside her containing what looked like all her possessions. She wasn't begging, wasn't bothering anyone, just sitting, watching people pass. Most pedestrians avoided eye contact, crossed to the other side, pretended not to see her. Sang-woo had grown up poor. His mother had cleaned offices at night to put him through school. He remembered how invisible she'd felt, how people looked through her like she wasn't human. So he stopped. Good afternoon, he said in English, then tried again in broken Korean. 안녕하세요. The woman looked up, surprised. Her eyes were striking, intelligent, sad, but with warmth underneath. Good afternoon, officer, she replied in perfect Korean with a slight accent. Beautiful day, isn't it? You speak Korean? I've lived here 40 years. Had to learn eventually. A small smile. I'm Dorothy. Officer Yoon Sang-woo. Have you eaten today? The question seemed to surprise her. Not yet. There's a kimbap place around the corner. Would you join me for lunch? My treat. Dorothy studied him carefully, like she was deciding something important. Why? Because everyone deserves lunch, and I hate eating alone. Something shifted in her expression. All right, Officer Yoon, I'd like that very much. That first lunch had been quiet. Sang-woo ordered kimbap, japchae, and soup. Dorothy ate slowly, savoring every bite like it was the finest meal she'd ever had. This is delicious, she'd said. Thank you. It's just kimbap. No, it's kindness. That's rarer than you think. After that first lunch, Sang-woo started looking for Dorothy on his patrol route. She was always in the same area, sometimes on the stone wall, sometimes on a bench near the park, never begging, never causing trouble, just existing in a world that preferred to pretend she wasn't there. And every day, Sang-woo would stop. Lunch, he'd ask. If you're buying, she'd reply with that small smile. It became their routine. Monday through Friday, 1 p.m., whatever restaurant was nearby. Sometimes kimbap, sometimes noodles. Once when Sang-woo got paid, he took her to a proper Korean BBQ place. Dorothy had cried quietly when the meat arrived. Are you okay? Sang-woo had asked, concerned. I'm fine, I haven't had samgyeopsal in years. I forgot how good it tastes. She wiped her eyes. You're very kind, Sang-woo. Your mother raised you well. How did you know about my mother? You mentioned her, last week. You said she taught you that everyone deserves dignity. He had said that. He'd been surprised Dorothy remembered. Over weeks, then months, they talked. Dorothy asked about his work, his life, his dreams. Sang-woo learned she'd been a teacher once, that she'd lost her husband and daughter years ago, that she had no family left. But she never explained why she was homeless. And Sang-woo never asked. It felt intrusive. Whatever her story, she deserved privacy. What mattered was the hour they spent together each day. Sang-woo started bringing extra food, fruit, bread, things Dorothy could eat later. She always accepted with quiet gratitude. "You don't have to do this," she'd say. "I know. I want to." "Why? Because you're my friend?" Dorothy's eyes would water every time he said that. Sang-woo's colleagues thought he was crazy. "Why do you waste your lunch break with that homeless woman?" Officer Kim asked one day. "She's probably scamming you." "She's not scamming anyone. She's just alone." "Still, it's weird. What do you even talk about?" "Everything," Sang-woo wanted to say. Dorothy was brilliant. She spoke 4 languages. She could discuss history, literature, philosophy. She remembered details about his life better than he did. She asked thoughtful questions and actually listened to the answers. She was the most interesting person he'd met in years, but he just shrugged. "We're friends." His partner, Officer Lee, was more understanding. "You've got a good heart, Sang-woo. Just be careful. Don't let people take advantage." "She's not taking advantage. I buy her lunch, that's it." "Has she asked for money?" "Never. She won't even let me buy her new shoes, and hers have holes in them." Officer Lee had looked thoughtful. "Huh, that's unusual." It was unusual. Most homeless people Sang-woo encountered were desperate for help. Money, food, shelter, anything. Dorothy accepted lunch but refused everything else. Once Sang-woo had tried to give her his old jacket when winter came. "I can't accept this," Dorothy had said firmly. "Why not? I have 3 jackets. You need 1. "Sang-woo, you're already too generous. The lunches are enough." "But you'll freeze." "I'll be fine, please. Don't worry about me more than you already do." Something in her tone had made him back off, like she was protecting something, a boundary he couldn't cross. So he'd respected it, stuck to their routine, lunch, conversation, friendship, nothing more. 3 months into their friendship, Dorothy asked Sang-woo a question that stuck with him. They were eating bibimbap at a small restaurant. Rain pattered against the windows. Dorothy mixed her rice carefully, methodically. "Sang-woo, can I ask you something personal?" "Of course." "Why did you become a police officer?" He'd been asked that before. Usually gave the standard answer about wanting to help people. But with Dorothy, he told the truth. "When I was 12, my father left. Just disappeared one day. My mother worked 3 jobs to keep us afloat. We were so poor, Sang-woo, so invisible." He stirred his soup. "One winter, we couldn't pay rent. We were going to be evicted. My mother was crying, didn't know what to do." Dorothy listened intently. "A police officer, Officer Han, found out somehow. He paid our rent, anonymously. We only found out years later when he retired, and my mother recognized him at a ceremony. He'd helped dozens of families like us. Never asked for credit. Just helped." "So you wanted to be like him?" "Yes. I wanted to be the person who sees people, really sees them, even when they are invisible to everyone else." Dorothy's eyes filled with tears. She reached across the table and squeezed his hand. "You succeeded, Sang-woo. You see people." "I just see you, Dorothy. That's not hard. You'd be surprised how many people walk past me every day without making eye contact, like I'm furniture or trash." She smiled sadly. "You're the only person in 6 months who's treated me like a human being." "That can't be true." "It is. You're special. Don't ever forget that." Sang-woo noticed Dorothy getting weaker in her final weeks. She tried to hide it, but her hands shook more. She ate less. Some days she looked exhausted just from walking to their lunch spot. "Dorothy, are you feeling okay? You look pale." "I'm fine, just tired. Old age, you know." "Have you seen a doctor?" "Sang-woo, doctors cost money." "I can help." "No." Her voice was firm. "You've done enough. More than enough. Please, don't worry about me." But he did worry. He started bringing softer foods, soups, porridge, things easier to eat. Dorothy accepted them with gratitude but growing sadness in her eyes. "You're too good to me," she'd say. "I'm just being a friend. The best friend I've had in years." 2 weeks before she died, Dorothy asked if they could eat at the park instead of a restaurant. She wanted to sit on the stone wall where they'd first met. Sang-woo brought kimbap. They ate in comfortable silence, watching people pass. "Sang-woo, I need to tell you something." His heart sank. "What is it?" "I'm sick, very sick. The doctors say not much time left." "What?" "Dorothy, we need to get you to a hospital." "No, it's too late for that. And honestly, I'm ready." She looked at him with such kindness. "I've lived a full life, lost the people I loved most, been alone for so long. These past 6 months, eating lunch with you, having someone who cared, it's been a gift." "You can't give up." "I'm not giving up. I'm accepting reality. And I'm grateful. For you. For this." She gestured at the park, the city, the life around them. "You reminded me that goodness still exists." Sang-woo had tears in his eyes. "I'm going to miss you." "I'll miss you too." After reading Dorothy's letter at the funeral, Sang-woo followed Attorney Park to a conference room. "Officer Yoon, I'm going to tell you something that will shock you. Dorothy Williams was not who you thought she was." "What do you mean?" Attorney Park pulled out a file. "Dorothy Williams, born 1955 in Chicago, moved to Seoul in 1982, married Korean businessman Michael Park in 1984. Together they built Park Industries, one of the largest import-export companies in Asia, worth approximately $800 million. Sang-woo stared. That's impossible. Dorothy was homeless. By choice. After her husband and daughter died in a car accident 10 years ago, Dorothy gave away almost everything, kept only a trust fund. She'd become disillusioned with wealth, with people who only wanted her money. She started living on the streets to see how people would treat her when she had nothing." "That's insane. That's grief, Officer Yoon." She was testing humanity, seeing if anyone would show her kindness without expecting anything in return. Attorney Park smiled. "In 6 months, you were the only one who did. The only person who bought her lunch, talked to her like an equal, treated her with dignity. That's why she left you everything." "Everything?" "What everything?" "Her estate, $200 million, plus her properties, investments, and a foundation she wants you to run. It's all yours." Sang-woo couldn't breathe. I can't, I just bought her lunch." "That's exactly why you get it. Because you didn't want anything from her. You just saw a person who needed a friend." Attorney Park handed Sang-woo a longer letter, handwritten, pages and pages in Dorothy's shaky script. "Dear Sang-woo, if you're reading this full letter, you know the truth now. I'm sorry I deceived you, but I had to know. 10 years ago, I lost my husband Michael and my daughter Sarah in one terrible moment. Drunk driver. They died instantly, and I survived. Why? I ask God that question every day. After they died, I realized something horrible. I couldn't tell who truly cared about me and who wanted my money. Friends disappeared when I stopped hosting parties. Family members only called when they needed loans. I was surrounded by people, but completely alone. So I gave it all away, moved to the streets, started over with nothing. I wanted to see if anyone would show me kindness when I had nothing to offer. For 6 months, thousands of people walked past me, looked through me, treated me like trash. I almost gave up on humanity. Then you stopped. A young police officer with kind eyes who said, 'Have you eaten today?' You fed me, not once, every day. You talked to me like I mattered, remembered details about my life, made me laugh, made me feel human again. You never asked for anything, never expected anything. You just cared. That's why I'm leaving you everything. Not because you need it, but because you'll use it right. You'll help people the way you helped me. The foundation I'm establishing, the Dorothy and Sang-woo Kindness Foundation, will feed homeless people across Seoul. You'll run it. Use my money to buy lunch for people like me, people who are invisible. Thank you for seeing me, Sang-woo. You saved my life in ways you'll never understand. With love and gratitude, Dorothy Sang-woo's hands shook holding the letter. Tears streamed down his face. 6 months after Dorothy's death, Officer Yoon Sang-woo, now former officer, stood outside the newly opened Dorothy and Sang-woo Kindness Center in Itaewon. He'd quit the police force to run the foundation full-time. Dorothy's $200 million funded it. The mission was simple: provide free daily meals to anyone who needed them. No questions asked, no judgment. Every day at 1 p.m., the time he used to meet Dorothy, the center opened its doors. Homeless people, elderly living alone, students struggling to afford food, foreign workers between paychecks, anyone hungry. They served Dorothy's favorite foods: kimbap, japchae, bibimbap, samgyeopsal, everything she'd loved during their lunches together. Sang-woo worked the floor personally, greeting people, eating with them, learning their names, making sure everyone felt seen, because that's what Dorothy had taught him. Food was important, but being seen, being treated with dignity, that's what really fed the soul. On the wall, a photo of Dorothy, smiling, looking exactly like she had during their lunches together. Happy. Beneath it, a plaque. Everyone deserves lunch, and everyone deserves to be seen. Dorothy Williams. Volunteers asked Sang-woo why he'd given up a stable career for this. Because a friend taught me what really matters, and he'd say, and I promised to honor her memory. The center served 300 people daily, each one treated with the same kindness Dorothy had received, the same kindness she'd been testing for, the same kindness that changed everything. 3 years after Dorothy's death, the foundation had expanded to 12 centers across Seoul. Thousands of meals served daily, lives changed, dignity restored. Sang-woo still worked at the original location in Itaewon, still ate lunch at 1 p.m., often at the same table where he and Dorothy used to sit. One day, a young woman approached him, maybe 30, nervous. "Excuse me, are you Yoon Sang-woo?" "Yes, can I help you?" "I'm Sarah Park." She pulled out an old photo, a little girl with Dorothy. "Dorothy Williams was my mother." Sang-woo nearly dropped his tray. "Your mother? But I thought the lawyer said you died in the car accident." "That was my little sister, also named Sarah. I'm her eldest daughter. I was studying abroad when the accident happened. My mother and we'd had a falling out. I didn't come to the funeral, didn't speak to her for years. I regret that every day." She looked around the center with tears in her eyes. "I came to Seoul to find you, to see what she built, to understand why she left everything to a stranger instead of her own daughter." Sarah smiled through tears. "And now I get it. You gave her something I couldn't. You saw her, not her money, not her name, just her. She was my friend. I know. I read her letters, all of them. She wrote about you constantly, how you made her feel human again, how you proved kindness still existed." Sarah took Sang-woo's hand. "Thank you for being there when I wasn't, for loving my mother when she needed it most." They sat together, ate lunch, talked about Dorothy. And Sang-woo realized Dorothy's legacy wasn't just the foundation or the money. It was the reminder that seeing people, really seeing them, changes everything. One lunch at a time, one conversation at a time, one moment of dignity at a time. That's how you change the world. That's what Dorothy taught him, and that's what he'd spend the rest of his life teaching others. The moral lesson of this story is that true kindness asks for nothing in return, and the people you help when they have nothing to offer are the ones who reveal your real character.